Vayechi Yaakov. This is the culmination of a dramatic life and death story. Back 2 Parshiyot ago, Yaakov Avinu sends his sons to Mitzrayim, and he says, "V'nichya v'lo namut." He tries to communicate to them the urgency of their journey, so that we will live and not die. We heard the same urgency from Yosef when he asks the brothers, "Ha'odzenu chai," is your father still alive? And ultimately, when Yaakov learns that Yosef is alive, Od Yosef b'ni chai, he says, my son Yosef is still alive, and immediately, enu b'terem amutz, I'll see him before I die. There's a race against death, this urgency. Against this backdrop, we can appreciate the defiance in the opening of this week's Parsha, Vayechi Yaakov. Yaakov lived against the odds. He won the race. We hear the same defiance later in the Parsha, when we actually ultimately reach his death scene. We don't actually have any record of his death. Vayigva, he expired. Vayasaf elamo, he's gathered to his Am, but no death. Chazal, somewhat incredibly, say, Yaakov Avinu lo met. After all of his fighting for life, Yaakov Avinu does not die. What do they mean by that? We'll roll back to the beginning of the Parsha again. When we first meet Yaakov early in the Parsha, we do hear Vayikrevu Yemei Yisrael Lamut. Yisrael's days of death are approaching. That same phrase, Vayikrevu, Rashi points out, appears also in connection with David. Yaakov and David, Rashi says, share in common that they die a premature death, meaning they do not live as long as their fathers. But also another common denominator between Yaakov and David. They are both become the symbols of life. Yaakov Avinu lo met, but we say, Am Yisrael chai, right? We say that the Am of Yisrael is still alive, and we say, David Melech Yisrael chai v'kayam. Yaakov and David themselves die premature deaths, but they leave in their deaths a legacy of life. That same defiance, that same legacy of life, we heard it from Sarit Zusman in the Hesped for her son Ben, Hashem Yimkom Zamo, who was buried earlier this month on her Herzl. We will prevail, she said. We don't have any other option. We are a people that values life, not like our enemies who sanctify death. We will live. Am Yisrael Chai.